maybe because Tanya had to leave, maybe until Javier is here, I can ask her more about the context of her work, Displaced Woman, because I don't know if, because I know the project, can you explain us more about this performance in different places with different context, with this basically in non-places like airports or police checkpoints or some unpleasant situations in which immigrants and asylants are every day in the situation to walk through some checkpoints with their suitcases. So can you tell us maybe more about that aspect of your work?
Yes, I mean, thank you for the question, Svetlana. The point with the project is that it's happening in real places. I would call them real context, real places. So we are not performing on the stage. So we are intervening in the situations or in the context of the places. And with these interventions, we research the notion of the public space, basically what we think could be a public space and if it really is, by trying to perform there. On the airports or in the shopping malls, one, or even often on the street, one often encounters the people, the personnel that represents the law in a way at that place. So security that would push you away maybe from the entrance of the shop or outside of the shop, or at the airports. At some airports, they would ask you what you're doing. At some others, they would prohibit video recording. And the most difficult was to perform in the public space in Istanbul. Even we had a permission to perform there, basically because performance is a politically very loaded medium, and the public space in countries that have a lot of political struggle also very loaded politically. So both in Belgrade last autumn and in Istanbul, so Istanbul in September and Belgrade in October, we were followed by police and civilian and asked what we are doing. In Istanbul, it was much more severe. We had the 2 members of the production team that were only involved with the talking with the police. And every location and every performance score we were doing had to be negotiated. So they were the most happy to let us perform in front of the opera, so in front of the theater space, because this space is dedicated for arts in a way. But the most difficult places were like main streets, squares, port, and so on. What I wanted to say also in relation to my talk and to what I was saying, because I was critical about being over-optimistic about
Can you repeat?
Shall I repeat? Can you hear me? Show me like with a finger.
I can hear you very well. Okay. I can hear you very well. Just continue,
I think please. Svetlana got frozen, but I think I'm doing well.
Yes, you're doing well. Please continue.
Thank you. So what I wanted to say, I was in my contribution to this conference critical about being over-optimistic about digital perspectives on performance art. I thought like what one can do digitally with the performance art and with teaching performance art and what one cannot do. So you can, for example, teach in your pajama. You can bake and you can bake bread and you can do laundry at the course of the international conferences. You can save money on your train tickets. You can teach video performance. You can have a lot of viewers, but no audience. You can publish online, share information, publish open calls, do organizational meetings. You can upload performance scores. You can download performance scores and submit contributions to the blog. You can feel isolated and unembraced. But what you cannot do, you cannot develop improvisational group performances and interventions in the public space. You cannot teach presence and embodied performance. You cannot work with material. You cannot talk with your audience. You can really share. You can talk with your audience when you do. I'm telling about what you cannot do online. You cannot talk with your audience. You can really share. You cannot really share. You can interact incarnate. So this is what I a little bit mixed up the second line. So I was partly writing about
Tanya,
what you can do in presence and what you cannot do online.
Tanya, you gave amazing answer to that question and you expanded and you gave us the whole manifesto, which is excellent. Thank you. Can we move on, please? Because there are a lot of people.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya, very much.
I have a quick question for Svetlana, and then she can continue moderating. As you did this wonderful performance about how you worked within the concept of a live theater and how you included the notion of I don't know how to call it, let's say Zoom theater to a certain extent, multimedia, live video performance. But then you indicated that there's a possibility that that performance then could actually migrate fully into Zoom theater. Could you say something a little bit about that connectivity? Because it did look to me like audience watching a Zoom theater happening in a way.
Well, yeah, you are right. It is a like conference situation, as you know, and when we have a live conference, it would be the same situation, public on one side, on another side, speakers, and you will have some digital material in some screen behind the speakers. So that is the situation in live conference. But also because we were using program DJing for VJing, like you can have this multiplication of screens and you basically work as a television studio. So you have a television studio in the theater, broadcasting. It can be broadcast also happenings alive. So here you also have this mix between the theater, between live television situation, and it also can be broadcast through the internet as a Zoom conference.
Was the performance broadcasted on internet?
No. But I can imagine that if we are in the same situation like a year ago or 2 years ago with the COVID situation, that it can be easily broadcast live.
I may suggest to Ivana to try to do the broadcast for the international audience. So Svetlana, you're going to be again running around. Okay, thank you so much. I know everybody is conscious for time. If I may ask just 2 more questions, and then I'm not asking questions anymore. So I have a question for Javier. Thank you so much, Professor Ruiz, for this wonderful performance that you did for us. It wasn't just a talk; it was just like a performance. you know, I used to love, and I still love as a child, Jules Verne. So your talk about the time machine brought me back to Jules Verne and this whole kind of a belief in this childhood dream of you know, moving through the place. But my question is this. So within this urban context, how can we see a future through the past? And is this process some form of a reversed palimpsest?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I'm in love with a book written by a historian and geographer, a German historian and geographer, whose name is Karl Schlegel. Karl Schlegel wrote around 12 years ago, I think, a book with an extraordinary title. In a space, we can read time. In a space, we can read time. This is very interesting because, of course, what we have in a space is not just what we can naturally perceive with our primary senses, but if we are properly trained, we can read not only the presence appearance of the space, but the processes that have produced this space. This space. The city is not a place. It's not just a place. It's not just a space. It's a process. It's a process that is changing. It's changing. We are used to try to understand what is around us as a static, but it's not only it's not a static, but it's an historical process, that has a wide range of possibilities to reach different kind of futures. If we are properly trained, we can imagine this wide range of futures in terms of probability, and this opens us a new interesting door and a new interesting possibility. That is that we have the possibility by converting us into performers, we can reorientate these processes in the directions we would like to change the world according to our desires, according to our fears, according to our wishes, according to, and I think that's the main possibility that our training, not only as planners, not only as architects, not only as artists, but interdisciplinary performers, this opens us to convert us into real future makers, in the makers of our own future. This is interesting because we sometimes think that the future is planned by planners, and all of us, every one of us, is a potential planner. No, it's not only that we are potential planners; we are planners, but we don't know that we are planners. And maybe if we are conscious that we know that we are planners, we are using information, we are reading the city as the Palim says it is, we can be performer actors and makers of our futures. As I have said, and for me it's a very interesting sentence, we cannot predict the future, but we can design it. So we have a strong possibility to design it by imagining and putting into on the table different new and ancient tools and a combination of the interdisciplinary tools.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, does anybody have a question to some of the participants, or to share your perception of today's session? Jovana?
Just to say that it was super inspiring for me, because it was a lot of perspectives on the topic, and all of them were very interesting. So I'm glad that I was part of it, and I don't have any specific question. Thank you.
Thank you, Jovana, that you really prepared and verbalized, like you really put an effort to explain the happenings during the COVID and how it functioned and how. So it was like methodology approach, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So who is here again with us? Valerie,
Sonia has the same. Sonia has a hand
questions?
up. Sonia.
Sonia, sorry. Sonia, here you go.
Sorry, I switched to my phone and this is the furthest my hand goes. I have actually one question for Javier, or more than observation. You mentioned Pretty Go being a failed project because it was meant to make people act in a perfect way, but people refuse to do so. And it's really interesting because it was built actually when segregation was abolished, and both colored and uncolored were supposed to live together, but of course it didn't happen and the whole project failed. So I was wondering about your thoughts on the relation between future and failed projects, failed designs. Sorry? You're muted.
Future
and failed designs.
Ah.
Something that not necessarily was as failed as Pretty Go, but I don't know what is failed design and what is its role in creation of future. Thank you.
Oh, it's an interesting and difficult question. I haven't thought of it. I think as you may know, as you has well interpreted on my speech. Although I'm working I work as a planner, so one of my main duties is to try to imagine urban futures. I design cities, I plan cities, and I have the idea of every time as many things, many new things I know, I learned. Many new things I am conscious that I don't know, that I lack different possibilities. So what I am sure, I don't know if I'm going to answer your question. As I have told you, I'm not sure of on the specific topic. But I think that we have now, in these times of uncertainty we live, we have a new open field that required interdisciplinary collaborations. Every kind of planning, every kind of performing, every kind of action that can have any influence in producing, in reorienting the processes that lead us to another future, should be integrated in a social or common or yes, a social or common project. I think we should reformulate our ways of using, acting, producing, planning, designing the city. For instance, as I have been listening to your different speeches, I was very glad. I was very impressed, and I have had the sensation that, for instance, any site-specific performance is a kind of planning, because it's a very interesting tool that can put in relationship the information we receive from the past and transforming it into a performing act that lead us to a new future. I think I haven't answered to your specific question, but as I told you, I have a lot of different new sensations, and for me this roundtable or this panel has been very clear, because I don't know if I have better answers, but I think that now I have better questions than I had before the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Javier and the others, have you seen the movie Dark City from 1998?
Yes.
Dystopian movie?
Yes.
How strangers are transforming the city and dealing with the memories memories of the citizens.
I invite
so
you. I really invite you to see this movie. I have seen it. This French movie from 1962, La Jetée. It's just 20 minutes. 20 minutes. It's a photo novel. Very interesting. It's a lesson of time travel. Sure, it changed my life when the first time I saw it, and I put it every year to my students, and they become completely shocked by. I love science fiction. It's one of my vices.
Thank you. Does anyone else has a question or constatation or something? Vanelline, it was great that you point the thing that nowadays artists are those who are at first time the one they selectors, and they can manipulate through the different medias and different information, but basically the main job of an artist is to select and to make selections. So that was great.
Indeed.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for the feedback. I'm also a big fan of science fictions, and I think I consider Belgrade and the Serbian university society as some sort of a big brother community from which we could learn a lot here in Bulgaria. Since maybe 20 years, I started some collaboration with Serbian artists, and I really appreciate it. It was really a keystones in my artistic practices. So I just want to say thank you, and I hope that exchange and communication could be improved between Sofia and Belgrade. And I just could imagine such a conference here in Sofia, in Art Academy. We are still building up a community and artists, practitioners in the field of digital media. We are just a few. So I'm glad to see that the process, it's well developed in Serbia. So good luck.
But thank you. Not just in Serbia, we saw now participants from different places of the world, from Spain,
yes,
from England, from America, and so it's it is nice, Germany. So it is nice how people with the same interest and motives are connected in this conference, and how even if we are not alive in person now in live communication, it is nice how we already made some system, self-organizing system, as Javier said, something what with the questions for future thinking and cooperations. And so this is our community now, and I'm thankful that we are connected all through these circumstances of this conference, and that all of you and us will communicate further and develop in these questions which we not today opened. So I know it's late and everybody are tired, but does anyone has something to share with this small community of 10 participants, but we have maybe some visitors on YouTube? Alexandra is the curator and the main organizer from Birmingham. And Alexandra, would you like to say something for the end of this?
Just thank you so much, and try to be here tomorrow. We have a very interesting half day, starting with my keynote. I'm building up on some of the discussions that happen here. I'm talking about war as a digital performance in post-truth era. And I can see that some of the topics have been linked in some different ways, through activism, through questioning of social media, through expanding the use of digital performance. So, and then we have a couple of amazing papers, like we had throughout the day, about the memory, about heritage, about the identity, with finding its own subjectivity within the notion of digital media and so forth. So thank you so much. Thank you for staying. Thank you for your contribution. I've over these 2 days, I've heard so many brilliant ideas and seen so many great practice projects. And I'm also very happy that I'm also very happy that what Svetlana was saying about the different geographies, that we also have different disciplines. We have people from all sorts of, like from architecture to health, and that's a strength. That's a very we don't. I mean, yeah, we have performing arts that brings arts, but this is something different. This is a different kind of beast that brings so many things together, and I think something important will come out of that. And I'm also particularly pleased that this was a very open, structured conference in which PhD student presented alongside a research professor. And I think that's also very good, because we value ideas, not positions, not authorities, but what you have to present for yourself. And I think that's also part of the digital kind of existence. because in that digital world, we are all kind of in some way democratically even, as long as you can have access to internet, obviously. That's a different story. And as long as they don't censor you on that internet. Okay, thank you so much. I think I would close this if you're okay with that. And yeah, a tutte le.
Thank you, everybody. And I think we showed today these interdisciplinary approaches and this expanded variety of artistic expressions today, mixed with the analog and digital, with the presence and virtual presence. So have a nice evening and see you soon, because now we are connected. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Ciao. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.